Hey all, welcome to the Quite Qurious Show featuring Bhargav and Sarang. We are your hosts. Over to Sarang.
Hello. Hi, guys. How are you guys doing? So, before starting the podcast, Bhargav, before telling viewers why we started this, I think it's better for us to introduce ourselves, introduce our backgrounds, and then take it over from that. So, let me introduce myself first. I am Sarang. I run a startup and a community called as Innovact. So we've built a competitive social network called Innovact Social, which lets students, entrepreneurs, and mentors collaborate and connect in just 2 steps. So if with existing communities like LinkedIn and Instagram, there is not much prominence for projects and ideas in particular. And also, if you have to connect or collaborate with teams or mentors, it just takes a lot of time. So essentially what we're trying to do here is to make collaboration simple, structured, and quicker. So that's what I've been doing. It's been almost 1.5 years, and I also run an offline community called as the Innovact Student Community Program, where we promote student entrepreneurship and peer-to-peer skill development programs. So that's what we've been doing. So I think more and more into the podcast, we can introduce ourselves in depth. So on the surface level, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is what I've been doing. And over to you, Bhargav.
That's amazing, Sarang. I have seen your journey for quite a few months now, and it's amazing. Like the way you have grown, the way you have progressed is really impressive. Coming to me, I am an engineer by degree. I started my career into marketing, and now I'm an entrepreneur building into the audio space. I started my career as a marketer after my degree into industrial engineering and management from a college in Bangalore. And later on, I started working with a creative agency where I was heading business and marketing. And my experience lies into executing and strategizing for brands like Dunzo, Zomato, CureFit, Swiggy, Zoomcar, and others. This is the time of, let's say, 2017-18, when all these brands were pretty nascent and pretty young in their earliest phase, and that was a brilliant time. That was an amazing time to partner and to learn from them. So that's where my experience lies from. During the pandemic, I was stuck at home doing the day job, and that's where I really wanted to be out there in the world. I was not enjoying me being confined into a room with a few people, the same faces on a daily basis, and that's where I started building my startup called Shortcast. Shortcast is Twitter for audio. The idea is to simplify sharing your stories, sharing your thoughts, ideas, or whatever's on your mind as easily as sharing a tweet, but using your voice, because audio or voice is probably the most intimate and the most personal medium ever out there for humans. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Superb. So I see you've been both in the corporate and you run your own startup. So which one do you like?
I would honestly say I've never been in a corporate, but I worked in an early stage startup myself. And that is where my interest lies, that I never want to work in a corporate. Like there's nothing against it. Those who do it are probably doing their best, and it's out there. Millions of people are working at corporates. It's the best for them. For me, I feel I can never be the guy who can settle or sit at a desk, do one thing for probably 8 to 10 hours a day, and for the next 365 days. I really cannot do that. I would really want me to be packed up with work, packed up with new challenges on a daily basis, doing one thing while I pick up something new to keep my curiosity up and running and exploring. So that's me, who always is out there to accept challenges, to explore something new, and always to lead and take initiatives. So that's where I guess it is smaller companies or startups that I have an urge for.
Right. I was about to say this, entrepreneurship is not a 9 to 5 job. It's a 24/7 job.
Oh, yes, that is totally. Provided you enjoy it.
Provided you enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, since the day I started, I feel very lucky to have met people like you, because you guys have been constantly mentoring me and like sharing your learning, sharing your mistakes. And I think that has made me an entrepreneur, that has made me a better entrepreneur. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in short, in under a minute, tell us, how did you, okay, before that, did you learn anything from your previous bosses?
Yes, I did. Before that, for the context for our audience, let me put in how you and me came up to this podcast and how
Yeah.
you and me met. So, for the audience, me and Sarang had participated in a competition by IIT Kharagpur called as Empresario last year, 2021, and we both ended up being the semi-finalists. And we were in Kolkata at the Park Hotel where the final round of the competition was being held amongst various investors, founders, and a lot of people around there, professors. So that's where we were across different tables. I just moved back and I just waved hi to Sarang, and that's where our conversation took off. And today we are more than me mentoring Sarang. We are more like accountability buddies, both in our earlier stage of our startups, with different ages and experience as well, but always there to support each other. And that's how we are now.
Yeah.
So that's where this startup is for all those founders, all those entrepreneurs, all those enthusiasts who really feel they have that grit, the curiosity in them to do things and really want to take it off. We are here over the series of next episodes. We'll try to simplify various concepts, right from idea to building an MVP to scaling your startup and try to put it out with you in as simple language as possible. And coming to your question, Sarang, what I learned from my previous bosses are, I guess, and this is an advice that I would like to give to every person listening to this podcast, is in your first job, don't look out for a good pay. Always look out for a great boss, because that great boss will not just be a guide for the tenure that you are with the company, but will be a lifelong teacher, or will shape your direction for your career, and that is utmost important. Probably this is where majority forget right out of their college. They are in a hurry to just start earning and just have that kick out of the salary that they get, but that's not a long-term overview. What will really take you ahead is the right boss that you select in the first job, who is always out there to support you, to lead you, to empathize with you with every stage and guide you. And I was lucky enough to find my previous boss's name is Rishabh. The company that he runs is Moshi Moshi, and he is as young as I am. Probably he is in his late 20s as well. And the bond that we built up over time was not an employee and an employer relation. It was much more like friends trying to build towards a common vision. So yeah, that's where I feel I am lucky enough.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I can't agree more with you, because the same thing happened in my life also. Because when I started in engineering, I used to work with a startup called Be Automate, right? So they were into automation, conducting workshops and so on, right? So there I met my mentor, and he was the founder of Be Automate. His name is Arfan. So he is actually in the United States right now.
Okay.
So that's when a kind of spark was initiated in me, and I always used to look up to him. And he was an amazing leader, amazing friend, and there was no hierarchy in the startup. He would always used to say that there is no hierarchy in the startup. We are building this together as a team, as a family. And probably that's he is one of those guys who have inspired me a lot to start my own company. And I also owe a lot to you guys, because whatever I am today is because of mentors like you and Arfan. Yeah.
It's always you are meant to encounter people, and it's a journey, Sarang. Like even though I'm mentoring you, I still get to learn a lot from you. So it's always a win-win. It's always a good give and take that has been there between us. Yeah.
True. All right. So I think that was a bit of an introduction.
Yeah.
So now we can actually speak about why we started.
Yep.
Briefly, we can talk to the audience about how we started and why we started. So do you want to start first, Bhargav?
Sure. Back during the year of 2020, when pandemic was not there, the pre-pandemic time in India, especially, the month was the month of March when things started to picking up in terms of COVID. But before that, I was still doing my day job, and I was almost on the verge of quitting it, and I was looking out to startup because few months before I had moved back to my hometown, I had joined the family business, but it took me probably a very short time to realize that I'm a misfit here, in terms of the generation gap, in terms of communication, in terms of the vision that's out there, and I truly respect what my dad and my uncle has built over time. They have given in probably more than 3 decades of their life into it, so massive respect for that. But as a new generation, I felt that I was a misfit into how things are currently operating.
Right.
So it was the right call for me to move out and do something of my own. Also, I realized that I have never been the person who can take orders, or who can just do things they are said. It's much more like my own thought, my own efforts goes into it, and then I try to shape something better than what has been asked. So
Right.
that was the time when I moved back to Bangalore from my hometown, that is in Gujarat, and I was looking out for options. I was exploring cloud kitchens. I was exploring laundry businesses. I was exploring
Laundry.
yeah, I was exploring a lot of stuff with a friend of mine, and
Right.
but who knew, probably down the line in a month, COVID, a thing like COVID, would probably be there in our life for 2+ years, would be on the go. So yeah, that was the scene. Then COVID came, and I moved back to my hometown again, where I was stuck for probably a year and a half, and pretty much the worst time of my life, both mentally and physically, as I had already realized I'm a misfit, but I was not able to move out, because even if I move out, the world was closed. Everything in India was closed, so there was no way out. And that was the time when I really wanted to be out, talk to people, just as you and me are doing. Probably down the line, there will be thousands or millions of listeners listening to our podcast, but I really wanted to be out there, talk to people, understand what's their lives like, what do they do for a living, what's their purpose in life, but I wasn't able to. That's where I decided to start with Shortcast. The idea of Shortcast was to make sharing your stories, your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings, your learnings, everything using your voice, which is the most personal, the most intimate medium ever out there for humans. Audio has been with us even before television, even before newspapers. That is radio technology. So it's the oldest form of communication, or a medium of transformation. But it is even still then, it is the most difficult medium, which I was out there to simplify, to make it as easy as using your phone, just like tweeting on it. All you have to do is speak, type the title and share, and let people socialize over it, talk, comment, like, etc. So that's the idea that I was building on.
So basically, this product started from your experience. So your experience in COVID, where you wanted to go out and talk to people, but there was no chance for you to go and talk to people. So you thought, okay, let me make an app so that people can share their feelings on audio in just like a minute.
It started out of my own pain, a personal problem that I had.
Right. So actually, I was actually going through a tweet by you, a thread. So you had stated something like this, now, products or ideas, they come because of 3 reasons. So one thing is the founders want to build it themselves, or they would have gone through it, or they would have seen other people face that problem. So probably your product is a result of what you were facing.
Yes,
Right.
very
So I
much.
think, I think it's the same with my case also, right? So when COVID hit, okay, so that's when even I started. So I had got this contract to manufacture automatic hand sanitizer dispensers. So the first thing I realized is I am not skilled enough to build hand sanitizer dispensers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to learn, I had to upskill myself. And then I did not have a team, right? And even before I started Innovact, I used to run an electric vehicle technology based startup called Kaiser. So that's where I realized for me to build as an entrepreneur or as a student, the first thing I need is a team, is a good team, is the right team. And the next thing is I might need skills to build it. So I went through this journey of building without a team, of building without skills. So that's when I thought, okay, what if we make building teams more simpler? What if we make we start few programs where skill development is given more prominence. So that's how even I started Innovact, right? So that was through my experience of not having a team, not being skilled, and I wanted to give it to the community. I wanted to make collaboration simple for them, right? So I think your thread is so true, right? And I think both of us share the common reason on why we started. So I think that's a bit of why we started our startups, right? But now coming to this series of podcasts that we'll be doing, do you want to tell the audience why we are starting this? Why are we doing this?
Yes. Guys, as me and Sarang were talking a few days ago, also let me tell you this was very impulsive, but our motive, our objective behind this is very deep rooted. That is, there are a lot of people out there, be it those freshly out of college, still in college, somebody who is already in their 30s, who is about to quit their jobs, and wanting to do something. Everybody wants to do something, but they really don't have the right roadmap or don't have an understanding
Correct.
of the right steps that they need to take, right from an idea to how to build a product, take customer feedback, etc. So that's where me and Sarang are here out there to simplify it for all,
Correct.
make it as easy and as short for you to understand and take those first steps, because I truly believe in taking steps. Thinking is good, but once you take steps is when your path starts opening up, when opportunities start falling in. So always, so I promote and I request everybody to be a go-getter. Start taking steps. It can be as abrupt, as unplanned as it can be, but once you do it, that's where it's amazing. It's an amazing journey.
Execution over ideation.
Yes.
So again, as Bhargav said, we are here to make entrepreneurship look very simple. Although it is not very simple, at least the roadmap has to be simple. At least founders have to have an idea of what they have to do, what they have to execute. Because while I think when we started, we did not have any, we didn't have mentors or anybody telling us this is the way you have to go, this is the direction you have to go, this is what you have to do, right? So I think probably if we would have got mentors at the time we started, we would not have probably started this podcast at all. So one of the main reasons behind starting this is to make sure that entrepreneurs just like us can get like a direction for them to execute and what they have to do throughout their journey, right? So it's basically, I wouldn't say like a curriculum, but a very simple curriculum of how people have to go, how people have to take entrepreneurship and how they have to move, right? So I think Bhargav, it's better for us to keep our podcast very short, because the attention time is very less. So we would like to end this podcast with a thought. So we would like to start with an example of laundry startups and why laundry startups failed in India. So Bhargav, you want to take this ahead?
Yes. This is a framework given by Kunal Shah. It's called the Delta 4 framework. Delta 4 framework means that any behavior that has less friction or probably no friction becomes a brag-worthy proposition or becomes brag-worthy. In India, laundry businesses were started out of inspiration from the US or from the West, and but probably if you see today, there are none doing the great or none
Correct.
being a billion-dollar valued company or
Correct.
having a huge revenue in place. Why?
Correct.
There was a time when this took up. VCs were putting crazy money into it, but the behavior of Indians or behavior in India around laundry was just not there. Why? In India, in majority households, there is only one person earning or one leading man who earns, and the lady is doing household chores, and there's where there's maid culture as well. So all your household chores, right from washing your utensils to your clothes to sweeping, everything is done by a maid, and that's where
Correct.
maid is a Delta 4 behavior compared to a laundry startup in India, where you have to open an app or probably give them a call.
Correct.
And they come and they pick up and they deliver it. Why? Because we are time rich. We are low on trust, but we are time rich. And that's where there's one more thing, that is inefficiency is the biggest employer of the world. And that's where maid behavior around maid is Delta 4 behavior compared to a laundry startup in India.
Correct. So I would also like to give an example of a laundry startup which failed. So it's called Doormint. Okay. And initially they started very well. The idea was to, they had an app, and people, if they wanted to give their laundry for servicing, they had to book. People used to come, take their laundry, go and return it to them. But I mean, to be honest, they were one of the first laundry startups who got into the Google Accelerator.
Okay.
And they had also raised close to $40 million. From
At a
VCs,
valuation of,
right? I'm not sure about the valuation,
okay.
but yeah, they were growing. It would have been, and they were also growing month over month. But then what happened was they were not able to scale. So they were not able to, probably if they would have continued the horizontal path, probably they would have sustained, but they tried to scale it faster. So when it comes to laundry, when you're taking in bulk orders, quality is a question. Yeah. And also time to time delivery is a question. And in India, we only order through apps like Swiggy or Zomato only because they offer us discounts.
Yeah.
Right. So these people were burning cash because of marketing, because of discounts. So they were not able to scale it. Right. And one of the other major problems why they shut down was the Dhobi culture. Yes. So they started out in Mumbai earlier, and then they had branches in Bangalore, Gurgaon, and other places, right? But in Bombay, probably one of the major reasons why they failed is because of the Dhobi culture, right? And also the maid culture, right? So ultimately, what we're trying to say here is the idea was good, but the problem did not demand that idea, right?
Yeah.
So this is an example of a new concept that we would be talking to you guys about in the coming series. So basically our series is going to revolve around idea to product executions. Okay. So how do you build an idea? How do you focus on how do you focus on the problem? How do you focus on validation? What is an MVP? How do you fundraise? Why is team important? So these are just a few things that we are going to be talking about. And I think, Bhargav, the next episode is going to be why are problems important than ideas?
Yes.
Correct? So the example of Doormint would be best suited for that topic. And we wanted to leave you guys with this thought. Why did Doormint fail? Or why did laundry services fail? And that is what we will be taking up in our next podcast. That is going to be ideas are not bigger than problems. And why should we focus more on problems than ideas? So yeah, Bhargav, you want to say something else?
I'm good. I'm super excited for our next episode and the future episodes coming soon.
Yes, I am excited as well. So, guys, we'll try to keep our podcast as short as possible with use cases based concepts, because I think people understand better through use cases and case
Real world
studies
problems,
and
case studies, yes.
real world problems and examples. So we'll be focusing more on that to make entrepreneurship very simple for you guys. So until then, that's it from my side. That's it from Bhargav's side. Thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.